I spoke to U.S. Congresswoman Barbara Lee. She joined us from Capitol Hill. I began by asking her the reasons behind this mass release.
Well, I'm very pleased that the administration really is beginning to, quite frankly, really recognize that there's some very deep, extreme injustices in our criminal justice system, especially as it relates to those who were incarcerated for nonviolent drug offenses. And so what this administration is doing is what many of us have been asking for many years, and that is to begin to look at rehabilitation and reentry and providing for a second chance for those who have committed especially nonviolent drug offenses. And so this is just the beginning. Hopefully we'll be able to find the resources to make sure that the educational resources that are there, that the type of support services are there, and that we help find formerly incarcerated individuals the workforce training and the jobs that they need so they can move on with their lives.
As you say, there are some deep injustices in the system, but does this prisoner release have to do with fair play and justice, or is it about cutting the cost of keeping people in prison?
Well, some would say it's about cutting the cost. Some would say it's about fair play and about justice. Whatever you believe, the point is we have to have a criminal justice system that is just that, a criminal justice system. And so we have to figure out ways to provide alternatives to incarceration, especially for nonviolent offenses, and come up with some kind of fair sentencing guidelines that really do not allow for the mass incarceration of especially African American and Latino men, which we have seen over the last few decades, really, over the last 20 years.
How does this prisoner release system work? I mean, who's responsible? Is it the White House, and then there is a federal agency called the U.S. Sentencing Commission? There's yet even another federal agency called the Bureau of Prisons. Who's responsible?
Well, you know, all parties have a part in this whole effort. The Department of Justice and the White House, they've established a policy, and they have to work with local communities and the states to figure out what those reentry plans are. And so everyone has a part of this. We have to fund at the congressional level, and I'm on the Appropriations Committee. We have to make sure that the federal resources are there for these reentry efforts.
The United States has 5% of the world's population, but 25% of the world's prison population. How did it get to this?
Well, it's outrageous, quite frankly. It's immoral, it's wrong, it's unethical. And I call your attention to Michelle Alexander's very detailed book, The New Jim Crow. It's about mass incarceration.